Hello, you're listening to Authors Aloud, the bite-sized podcast where we chat with authors about their latest books and audiobooks. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kristin. We love connecting you with voices that are behind the pages, especially when those pages are brand new, and in this case, a bestseller.
Today's guest is Laura Melane, writer of the best-selling book Store-Bought Baby, a memoir about adoption, codependence, and escaping the good girl trap. So excited to have you here, Laura, and so excited to dig into this book.
And that good girl trap, I cannot wait to talk about. So we have to get more from you on that. Let's get really simple. We'll just start really super simple with you, Laura. Where are you joining us from today?
I am joining you from Arizona.
Awesome.
The Arizona oven, I call it at this time of year. It was 117 yesterday.
Oh, my Lord.
But I'm very happy to be here and very happy to be inside in air conditioning.
I guess. So when it's that hot, do you spend much time outside?
Only in the pool.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So this is a big ask for a book, right? But what is your book about in a nutshell?
Oh.
I know, right? It's a big ask.
Okay. If I had to really summarize it, it is about me really finding my authentic self and choosing myself over everything else.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
What inspired you to write Store-Bought Baby?
Oh, I've always wanted to write a book. I've always been a book nerd. I've always loved to read. I got that from my dad. And so 2 years ago, after he passed, it just hit me about, life really is short. What do I want to be doing with the rest of my life and what's really important to me? And I thought, I will always regret if I don't write this story. And I had found some biological family. And I originally thought I would write that with my half sister. And then I decided to just write it myself and tell my story, all the good, the bad, the ugly, and really put it out there to maybe help somebody else like that was looking for their biological family, their roots, that had maybe felt some of the same way I had felt growing up, of, not having answers to these questions of where did you come from?
Yeah.
What do you look like? What are your roots?
Yeah.
So that was a big, big missing unanswered questions that I had for 50 years.
So Store-Bought Baby, that's such a strong title. Where did that particular title come from? What was the inspiration for that? What was the moment in writing that made you go, yep, that's my title?
Yeah. Well, that came from my adoptive mother. So my parents that adopted me, I was 3 days old when they adopted me, and my mom found out she was pregnant that same month. So she had my sister, who is 8 months and a day younger than me. And she always said she had one store-bought baby and one homegrown baby. And it was in a very loving way. She's from Mississippi and she has a sweet Southern drawl. So it was very loving.
So it was affectionate. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh my, that sounds very like, not loving, but it was said it with a lot of affection. And so that's where that came from. And so I grew up with their biological child, my sister, Heather, who is, we are about as opposite as you can get in looks, personality, everything, but we are still very close. And we just have this, I don't know if you have that with siblings, but, we have the same shared experiences. And we could finish each other's sentences. I remember we used to play Pictionary growing up, and we could just barely draw something and know what it was. Like we just have like this, I don't know, this shared bond and telepathy or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's
Yeah.
interesting because you often think about in a family that coming from like, oh, well, we have the same genetics. Well, nope, it's not about that, is it? It's about
Mm-mm.
being close and growing up together, right? And being, obviously you guys were sort of same wavelength in that regard. That's very cool. I
Mhm.
do have a brother like that I'm very, very close to in that way too. So I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
And you
And
must
he,
have been raised pretty close, like nearly twins.
yeah.
Yeah, people used to say or ask if we were twins, but she's very blonde and very fair. And my mom used to dress us alike. Um, so, I was a grade ahead of her based on where our
Hmm.
birthdays fell. But yeah, people couldn't quite get the concept of how, well, they're almost the same age and what they're, so
Yeah.
it was interesting conversation
So I'm
growing up.
assuming that pregnancy was just a huge surprise to your mother.
Was they had tried, I think, for about 2 or 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I keep hearing this a lot. Once somebody just kind of relaxes
Uh,
and maybe, I tend to think like maybe she was so happy they were going to adopt.
yeah.
And there's a story in the book about, because my dad was in the Air Force. He was
Mhm.
flying over, I think he was over Papua New Guinea at the time, and my mom was trying to get a hold of him, and her message was, the baby's here, which was me. And she said, and I think I'm pregnant, which is like a funny, yes. And my dad always said he heard this voice and tell him, take it, take it. And that's what he said to my mom, take the baby, because she didn't
Oh,
know if they should adopt me. And she found out she was
yeah.
pregnant. So,
That gave me chills.
yeah, I know.
That
It
gave
still
me
gives me chills.
goosebumps. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it still
lovely.
gives me, yeah.
How
Um,
how wanted you were. That's really lovely.
yeah, I always felt wanted and loved.
Hmm.
But there was still, there's
Hmm.
this like, who do I look like? Where did I come from? And no matter how much love that my adopted parents gave me, you just still have those, you still
Hmm.
wonder, you still have questions, and
Hmm.
like I wanted answers, I think
Hmm.
my whole life. And they always told me, "Oh, your mom gave you up because she wanted you to have a better life." And just it was a very loving conversation. And I
Right.
knew all growing up, I don't even remember exactly how old I was when I found out. They just always told me, so they were honest and upfront about it.
I I knew it. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Ashley.
How much of your story did you know before you started seeking it out?
Oh, well, I knew just very vague things like unidentifying. I didn't know names. My mom had a few things like, your mother was young. She was 19 when she had you, and your dad was young, and she was Italian and Irish, and he was Italian, all these just very vague things, but that was pretty much it. That's what I kind of grew up knowing until I see, in my 30s, once I had my own children, it kind of lit a
Hmm.
fire under me. Like I wanted to
Hmm.
find out answers. I wanted to find out medical history, things like that that really concerned me. And so I hired a private investigator, and I found out a few things, but this was so long ago. It was really before like the DNA testing
Sure.
and all the things that actually really helped me.
Yeah.
So, I did find out a few things, which was did help me, but then I kind of just let it go for a while.
We had a close friend that was a psychologist, and we were talking to her one time about adoption, and she said that she had never had a patient that was adopted, even the most loving family in the world that they're living in, there's always a yearn, and there's
Mm.
always a something missing. And what I've been seeing, which excites me, what I've been seeing recently kind of in the world is that adoptive parents are taking that in a little more as we have to help our child through this because there's always going to be something there, and we need to help them no matter how much we love them and they feel safe. There's going to be this thing, right? And I love that the world is kind of taking a shift to that. Have you seen that too, Laura?
I have.
Good.
When I was, because I taught Pilates for a long time and I had a studio, and one of my clients had a son that they had adopted. And she was telling me they had an open relationship with the mom. And I just felt like, oh, that what you just said, being able to help the child through this, and just emotionally, they don't have the
Right.
questions
Right.
through their life. And I just thought that was a really great way to approach it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more open adoptions now than when I was adopted. Everything was very closed, and
Yep.
they made it, you jump through hoops, having to go through the court systems, and
Right.
that right there kind of dissuaded me, because I had been adopted in Florida, and when I was really searching, I lived in Washington State, and it just seemed very daunting at the time. So I thought, well, I could go there, but today it's a little easier, and I eventually found everything through doing the DNA testing.
DNA.
So I did 23andMe first, and that really didn't give me any results. And then so a few years later, I did Ancestry DNA,
Awesome.
and that's how everything evolved.
Wow. I want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that good girl trap.
Oh, yes,
because
absolutely.
there's another whole part to this book that we haven't even touched on yet. So let's talk about that good girl trap. When did you realize you were caught in one? And if you want to describe what that is to
what
us.
is the good girl trap?
That good girl trap kind of encompasses, if you're raised in religion, kind of what society says women should be, and especially of my generation, what media said, like, oh, this is what a good girl does. Like, oh, she doesn't speak up for herself. She doesn't talk back. She puts other people's needs ahead of herself. She gets married, has children. There's just so many things that just there's just societal expectations that I think women, it's not even, it may not even be directly said, but it is indirectly,
Implied.
and
Yeah.
yes, implied through movies, through stories that we hear, through fairy tales. All the fairy tales, if you go back, are just absolutely horrendous, I think.
Yeah. Like
Being
what?
rescued by a man,
Yep.
and I'm not pro or anti-man. I am
No.
just pro healthy relationship. No.
Yeah, we're the same generation, and everything in the 80s that we were watching is it's just, especially having grown up religious as well, right? So I think that combined, because, you hear about Gen X being so like, and yeah, I have a little of that in me, but you also have, if you grew up super religious, this mold you were expected. I was
Yeah.
expected to move back to Florida and become the music minister at my church, because the idea that I would be a performer, like, what? No, you're going to get married. You're going to be in a church. You're going to, you know what I mean? Like, so you're going
Which is
to,
sort of laughable now. It's
I
so
know,
opposite.
hilarious. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's exactly it. I hear you 100% on that.
Well, tell me, why is the good girl trap a trap?
That's a really good question.
That's a great question.
It's a trap because I don't think it allows us to really look at what we want, like and it limits us so much in our career. Um, deciding, oh, do I really want to have kids or not? I mean, I think the conversation now today with young women is so much better because they're living authentically for themselves, which I see more of. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like, I I had a conversation with someone who I couldn't believe this came out of his mouth, but it did. And he said, "Well, women aren't having babies like they used to." And I said, women weren't put here to have babies. They were put here to live their lives authentically as they would like to live. And I think that that is the message that, I didn't receive.
Yeah.
And, I kind of went the path of, I became a nurse, which is a very caretaking role. And, just went into the caretaking of everyone, really except for my own needs. And
Mm-hmm.
I did learn that partly through growing up with my adoptive dad, who was an alcoholic, and my mom, who was codependent. So, I didn't want to rock the boat. I just kind of
Mm-hmm.
really did everything I could to be a good girl and not upset anyone. And, growing up with that, you don't have difficult conversations. You don't talk about anything difficult. And so, we only know what we know growing up
Yep.
in that environment, and then we model what we grow up with because
Right.
that's all we know.
And then you
Um,
found yourself in a similar situation, right?
I did, I
Yeah.
did. I married a man with an alcohol issue, and I found myself I was married for 22 years, trying to, trying to fit basically I call a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
And that just does not work.
Yeah.
And um, trying to be a fixer, trying to make it work, and then finally realizing, oh, wow, I get to choose the life that I live. I get to it doesn't have to be this difficult. I get to have the life I want to have, and he gets to have the life he wants to have.
That's a
So,
big deal.
what are the differences now that you've had an opportunity to really choose? What have you decided? This is something I am not bending on. What are the things that stuck around? I'm so curious to know, given the opportunity to really set aside, here is what I want. What did you want?
Yeah, I wanted, as far as in my life or partnership, like, or both,
All of it.
all of it. Okay. Well, in my life, I wanted, like, my background is in nursing, and then I had a wellness. So I really wanted to live a healthy lifestyle. I
Mm.
wanted I've always been kind of independent, but I didn't want to be controlled. I didn't want to be controlled financially or any other way. I talk about another relationship I had after my marriage because, I didn't learn my lesson. I needed another brick thrown at me to
Listen, it
learn the
takes
lesson.
time.
But again, the controlling, very jealous, emotionally unregulated person that just kind of caused chaos in my life. So I had to really work on that. I had to go, okay, I want peace in my life. I want someone who, if, you know, that is in my life who is emotionally regulated, who is healthy. But I had to get healthy myself. I had to really figure out what would work with me, what would be compatible with me, um, and heal that fixer girl.
What was your
Heal that.
path? Yeah, what was your path to doing that? To I mean, you and I are very similar in a lot of ways talking about this stuff, but what was your path to figuring out who you are? Because sometimes you
Yeah.
don't know what you want until you know who you are, and it's hard to know who you are when you've had layers and layers and layers and layers of society and yourself and reiterating and people and religion and all of that. So what did you do to peel back all those layers?
I think because I went on a real spiritual path, wasn't a religious path, it was became more spiritual. So that really helped me to realize that I am a child of the universe, of God, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
And growing up seeing God as like punishing
Mm.
to
Yeah.
God as all loving, and that that really shifted my view of myself too. That I didn't have to do these things to earn love, that I was already loved. I was already a
Mm,
child of God. Um, and a lot of therapy, going to
a lot of
therapy.
therapy, right? Yes.
Mhm.
Amen.
Yeah, a lot of reading of spiritual books, self-help books. I also, the last 2 years, which really was kind of a tipping point for me, joined um, there's a guy, Matthew Hussey, who has been very influential in my life. He is a life coach, dating coach, and he taught me the things that I never ever learned about relationships and how to
Yeah.
be discerning and who to have in
Mm.
my life and how to heal from some really difficult things. Um,
Right, because we grow
also,
up and we
yeah.
think if we've got that funny feeling in our stomach, right? Then, oh, I'm in love and this is who we stay with. We don't know that there's discernment, right? That's amazing. I'm glad you had someone like that. Yeah.
So I've been in a group for now 3 years with women, all healing in different from different phases. Some have been widowed, some have had tremendous heartbreak, some are looking for love, looking, to want to have children. So it's been really eye-opening and very healing for me to, especially, I think we don't always share what we go through, and
Hmm.
we do this alone, and I don't think you can really heal unless you put it out there and share it. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book, was to share my story and
Mm.
to let people know they are not alone. Maybe some parts of it will resonate with them, and they can go on their own healing journey and resolve some things that will help them live a better life. Because I feel I finally, like, and my friend Matthew says he's taught me how to be happy on my own. And that
Mm.
is the most beautiful thing, is just
Yeah.
happy with my own life. And I don't think, as women, in that good girl thing trap, is that we're taught that, like, we are whole by ourselves. And I
Yep.
mean, I think it's wonderful if you have a healthy, wonderful partner, whoever that is. I think that's great. Um, uh, but so many of us get trapped in situations and relationships that are not healthy and that we're not happy in.
Yeah,
And we stay
absolutely.
for various reasons. I mean, I stayed because I had children. I stayed because I was afraid. I stayed because I was insecure. I was afraid of what was on the other
Mm.
side. I didn't want to take that next step until I had finally really had enough. And I realized I don't want to live the rest of my life like this.
I love what you just said about being whole on your own, because I remember specifically, and you probably were too, taught that idea of, oh, you have to find your other half. So it's a half and a
Mhm.
half that makes a whole, rather than two wholes coming together, which
Mhm.
sounds weird when I say it that way, but
Mhm.
you know
But
what
it's
I mean.
true. It's true. You do. You want like a whole person. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all of us have baggage and things,
Sure.
that we have to work through. When there's some really big traumas that people have not dealt with, that create chaos in a relationship, that's not ever going to work. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's really fundamental that, we all own our stuff. And that is one thing I had to look at. I was in my marriage, I was constantly like, he should get sober. It's his thing. He should do this. He needs to fix himself. When I realized, oh, I need to fix myself, because
Mm.
fixing me or fixing him is not going to fix me. I need to do the work on myself. And I decided I need to get out of the way, because if, he's on his own journey, we're all on our own journey.
Sure.
And it's my journey to look at myself and do better and learn how to do better and
Yeah.
try every day to do that.
Awesome. That's great. That's
Was there
amazing.
anything that you learned or that was surprising uh, while you were writing the book?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of shifted. I I tell some tough stories, and I wanted it to have some type of grace in it.
Mm.
Again, and taking ownership. So I think just doing that, and also protecting other people's privacy. That was like, I wanted to tell the stories because it shows things, but I also wanted to be cognizant of, um, being, I guess, sensitive to other people that might read it. Or so I did change a lot of names and some situations, just minor, but I mean, everything is true to my perspective.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that was the hardest thing about writing it because
Really?
yeah, I do. I mean, I think the book just flew out of me because I had journaled for so many years. And then once I decided what I was going to write about, it honestly just, it's almost like it was just divinely get written. I,
Yeah.
I almost don't remember writing it,
Oh,
honestly.
wow.
That's
Wow.
Yeah,
remarkable.
yeah,
So before we get in, I do want to talk a little bit about like actually publishing the book. But before we get into that stuff, I do want to understand from your perspective how this story of adoption and this story of the good girl trap and what you were, how do those intertwine for you? Did your adoption struggles play into or lead into falling into the good girl trap, or is it something else? Like, what was that for you? Like, how do those things come together?
yeah. I think growing up, I had so many unanswered questions, and like my sister looked like my parents, and I felt like the odd one out, and I had no one to really just identify with. And so
Mm-hmm.
I really struggled with my identity and my looks. And I think that
Mm,
just meshed into people pleasing and
Mm.
wanting people to like me.
Mhm.
And then it morphed into wanting, boys to like me, men to like me, instead
Yeah.
of, do I like them? Do they fit well into my life?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
you
mm.
know, I did not have any of that growing up. It was just,
Same.
I just, oh, they like me.
Yeah.
Gross. Gross.
I was the same way. I was the exact same way, well into my 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
get it completely. So let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about publishing. What
Okay.
advice would you give for new authors about getting
Oh, wow.
started, about publishing their book?
Wow. I would just say, yes, start writing. Even if it's like 10 minutes a day, it can be just small little increments, because I think you can get overwhelmed with thinking, I need to write like a chapter. I need to get this done. And I think it flows better when you feel inspired, or even if you set like a time, like maybe in the morning or whenever you feel like your brain is working the best. I think I would write at night for some reason.
Mm.
And I spent a lot of Friday nights writing this. That was my Friday night date to myself of writing my book, which
Yeah.
was great. And get some help. I don't think I would have published this without the help of Peacock Proud Press and
Dr. Laura
having
Bush.
edited.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, because I know people, like I have friends that they've been working on books for 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to get this out. And, I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional writer. I like to write. I like words. I like to read, but the process of putting it all together and getting it out there, it was so streamlined.
Mm.
I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
It just came together. And, when you use a professional, if you can't or able to, it will streamline everything.
And we're super excited because you're going to be doing a audiobook with My Audio Rocks. And I'm really looking forward to working with you on that. That'll be the next part of this for you. Yeah.
Yes, I'm very excited to step into this next challenge, and I'm glad you'll be guiding me,
Yeah. I'm
Kristin, because I'll
excited.
need the help.
I'm excited. I'm super excited.
How will having an audiobook change the way your readers and your listeners are able to interact with what you've written?
Well, I don't know. For me, I always love to hear the author read their memoir. I think it has the energy from the author,
Hmm.
and the emotion. So I think that will be they'll get to hear my voice reading. And, although
You've lived those stories.
yes,
Yeah.
I've lived the stories, and I know that some emotional will come out in them.
It's
Even when I
okay.
have read it now, I am emotional in
Yeah.
certain places.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, we love to hear that in an audiobook. And I'm always so surprised at how traditional publishers always want authors to hire a narrator. And Kristin and I are very much in the camp of, no, we want to hear it from you, and we want the emotion, and we want to be able to walk alongside you as you're
Yeah.
experiencing that. It's such an incredible, intimate experience with an author.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
thanks.
go ahead.
I appreciate that support. I really do.
Of course. So, I know we should mention your book was a bestseller. It came out, what date did it come out?
April 23rd.
April 23rd. I know you have a copy there. We'd love to see it.
Yes,
She has a
yes.
great
You
cover.
can't miss it. It's bright
Nope.
pink, and it's so funny because I don't know. I do love this color.
Yeah.
And when I was deciding, I've always kind of taken a back seat to everything and kind of been behind in the shadows. And I was like, no, I want this book to pop.
This is going to be a bright pink book. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It took us a while to get there, but we got there, and it's a great cover. I think it's a great book too.
Yeah, I love it.
We have just a quick, little bit of a lighter wrap up we like to do. You actually already answered one of these, I think. But we'll just do a quick little question and answer, just off the top of your head. Longhand or keyboard?
Oh, yikes. That's a good question. Um,
So how did you write this book? Was it on a computer, or did you
it
do
was
it longhand?
it was on a computer.
Okay.
It
So,
was, but I do like to write longhand. Like I take copious notes, and
uh-huh.
of course when I journal, I love to just write. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the book was computer. Mhm.
Okay. Got it.
Do you prefer a quiet writing space, or do you like to have some background noise?
Quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to really focus and think about what I want to say. And I'm probably, well, okay. I am a recovering perfectionist, where I have to write it and like, oh, that doesn't sound right. I'll go back and rewrite it. So I've had to work on okay, just write,
Just
write.
get it
And then,
out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
get it out and, go back. You can always go back or hand it to the editor.
Yeah.
They'll
This is
do
a
it.
good thing for me to know, since we're going to be heading into narration,
Mm-hmm.
for me to know that about you.
Well, Krista
Mm-hmm.
knows this
Yeah.
about me, but I'm a really big fan of morning pages and sort of the
Oh,
exercise of just get into the habit of stream of
yes.
consciousness writing, and then it will help everything flow so much better.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Fully agree. I have done that in the past. And yeah, it's a great exercise. I've gotten out of the habit, but thank you for reminding me. I need to go
It's
back
a
to
good
that.
habit to pick back up whenever
Yeah.
you're ready. It'll be there for you.
Yeah.
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 So your
Thank you.
protagonist, in this case, it's you. Jazz, punk, or classical? Which are you in this book?
That's an interesting question.
I know.
Classical? Classical.
That's
Yeah.
funny, because I would say punk.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
punk is like, you figure it out, man. You're like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and this is what I'm gonna do.
No people pleasing nice girls here.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah,
Maybe
I
you
guess
start out classical. Maybe you start out classical, and maybe you end up punk.
I think that's true. I think that's true. And even just writing the book
Yeah.
is like, yeah, like this is
Yeah.
this
A
is
little punk
the
rock.
real, yes,
It is
this
super
is the
punk rock.
true.
So many people say, I want to have a book. I want to write a book. One day I'll get around to it. I really, really love and admire the folks who are like, today's the day. Let's just do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I did hear that people that say they want to write a book, it's only like 0.1% of people that actually do,
Mhm.
which I thought was incredibly low. But I just thought, I don't know, I'm a very determined person. Like if I
That's
get
punk.
something in my head, I'm like, I'm doing it. Like, no, like if
Yeah.
somebody tells me not, like, you can't do that, I'll be like, oh, watch me. Like that's kind of my personality. So there's the good girl and then the punk, I guess.
I
It's
like
like
it.
rebelling
I like
against
it. You just had to discover the punk. The punk was always there.
Mhm.
You just had to
Yes,
figure out it was there, right? I'm the
I
same way.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Laura, what is
So
something that you would whisper to your younger self, your younger writer self?
my younger writer self.
Yeah, what would you whisper to your
I
younger writer self? What
yeah.
advice would you whisper in her ear? I really love the visual of this.
I do too.
I would have to whisper. Can I swear?
Of
Can I swear?
course.
Fucking go for it.
I love
That's
it.
awesome. That's awesome. Tell me
Yeah,
that's not punk.
it is. It is. It is. And I do have a
You need to get a
line.
t-shirt. I like
I
it.
do have a line in my book. It says, "That fucking good girl is long gone." Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. That gave me chills too.
How empowering.
Yeah.
Yes.
Laura, thank you so much. You've been amazing. We appreciate you
Thank
taking the
you.
time to do this.
Thank you both so much. So nice to meet you, Ashley, and see you again, Kristin. And happy Friday.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. So that is a wrap on this episode of Authors Aloud. Big thanks to Laura Melane for hanging out with us today.
You'll find all the goodies, Laura's book, her links, and anything else we mentioned in the show notes. So be sure to check those out.
Have you got a book in the works or know someone who does? If you hit subscribe, you won't miss any of the insider tips and the author inspiration we've got coming up in our future episodes.
We're so glad you joined us. Keep telling stories, chasing ideas, and making magic.